All right, so we're going to have two phases of the tutorial today. First, we're going to be working primarily on github.com or exclusively on github.com to show what you can do just on the website. And then we're going to work on the command line where you're actually going to, in a real world example, probably be doing most of your coding. After you've taken this class, you're comfortable using the command line, and you're comfortable writing Python code, so you should be working on your local machine. Allows you to work anywhere in the world, even without an internet connection. And then once you do have an internet connection, then you can push your code back up to the internet. So first we're going to start with github.com. So make sure you've already created your own GitHub account, one that you'll be comfortable using for the foreseeable future, because it's preferable if you keep your username the same, because that's how you'll be known on GitHub. So we're going to go to github.com and create an account if we don't have one already, and then we're going to now go to the GitHub Hello World tutorial, which is under this guides. This is actually the second part of the guide that we're going to start with. So we have some steps here. We're going to create a repository, create a branch, make and commit changes. We're going to open a pull request to the master, and then merge our pull request. So I'm going to command click on this link to open up a new tab. Okay, so we've seen Hello World before, right? This is this time-honored tradition in computer programming where you find different ways to write the phrase Hello World. So we know what GitHub is already. We've covered that. And this tutorial doesn't require any code. Everything will be done on the web, but it'll give you a quick overview of how this whole system works. So first thing we're going to do is create a repository. So as we said, repositories are all the files in your project, and typically the first file we create is a README file, which is a markdown file. So it's README in all capital letters .md, and by default this file will show up on the main page of the repository. So if you notice, the README file for this course is the syllabus. So that when you go to the main page, you see the syllabus. That's the README file. And if you want to have a license for your repository, you can put a license in there too. We won't do that today, but if you might want to research about different licenses and figure out how you want to license your code if necessary to control how other people can use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the upper right hand corner and create a new repository. So we're going to go up here. You should be, sorry, we're not on GitHub, so we're going to go to let's open up a new tab, go to github.com. You should be logged in. If not, you want to sign in. Everybody signed into their account? Okay, you're going to go up here to this plus sign and select New Repository. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make side-by-side windows here. So I'll just make the text a little smaller. Okay. So we're going to create a new repository, which is going to be under your username, and we're going to call it Hello World. And you can type whatever you want here. You can say my first repository. It's going to be public, Again, yeah, if you want to have a private repository, you have to pay. Looks like it's $7 a month, but no need. We're going to make it public. We're going to, yes, we're going to say, yeah, initialize this repository with the README file. There's something called a .getignore file. What this is this is a dot file, so it doesn't show up normally when you type ls, but it's there in the main repository, and you can add files. You can open up this file as a text file and add the paths, the relative paths of all of the files in your repository that you want Git to ignore, that you want them not to track those files, so it won't try to ask you to add them or worry about them. It's a nice thing if you have, like, IPython notebooks, for example, will generate this checkpoint file, this IPynb checkpoint. Let's say you don't want those to be tracked. Those are just for your own personal record keeping, so you could add those to your Git ignore. We're not going to worry about that for right now. We'll maybe play with that later. You can also add a license. There's all these licenses you can use, MIT, GNU, BSD, etc. You can research those. We're not going to add a license. So we're ready to go. Click Create Repository. And voila, we have a repository here. Step 2, we're gonna create a branch. So this is how you can work on different versions at the same time. So by default, your repository has one branch called master, and you can see in this window on the main, this is the main page for the repository. We're in branch master. There aren't any other branches. There's not much here. There's just one file with one commit. So when you create a branch off master, you're making a copy of master as it was at that point in time. And if someone else made changes to master while you were working on your branch, you could pull in those changes using that pull command. So there's a little diagram here that shows master branch and a new branch called feature, and some work that's been done on that with different commits. So just like you might save different versions of a text file on your computer, branches accomplish that same kind of thing. Okay, so we want to create a new branch. So what we're going to do is go to our repository. So we're here. We're going to click the drop-down menu that says Branch Master. And in this menu here, we can create a new branch. So we're going to type a branch name called README Edits and hit Enter. So we are now in the branch README Edits. We've just created a branch and moved into it, or switched into that branch. So we now have two branches. We have master and we have README Edits, and we can view here, we can view the contents, and we can also control on GitHub which branch we're working in. So now that we've created this branch and we're working in it, we can make and commit some changes. So we're going to click on this README file, and for some lightweight changes, you can actually make the changes directly on the GitHub webpage. For most of your coding, you're going to want to do it locally and then push those changes back. But for here, you can do it on the webpage. So we can click on this pencil to edit this file. And go ahead and just, you can see this is a markdown file, that the first line is the title of the repository. So you should leave that as is. That's the standard way to note the file. So I'm going to add a new line so it's a little more clear. We can still call it my first repository, and then we could say we'll have a heading here. Just it doesn't matter what you type, we're just making some edits. So and you should be a little bit familiar with Markdown by now. You know, whatever. So I've made this file pretty. This window is taking up a lot of space, but no problem. So I can edit the file. I can preview the changes. It'll put in green here what I've changed. And then I can say updates to readme.md. We don't need to put anything else here, but you can. We're going to commit this directly to the readme.edits branch. We could alternatively create a new branch for those changes. And we're going to commit those changes. So now the branch readme edits looks like this, but if we go back to master, the master branch still looks like it was before. So we now have two branches that are two separate versions. Next thing we want to do is open a pull request. So we want to say, we want to request that these edits in readme edits are pulled into master. So to do that, where is our, we go to pull request. We're going to create a new pull request. And we want to change this, so we're going to request that readme edits are pulled into the base branch, master. And it will show us down here that we're going to make some changes. It's showing us in green all the things. So we added this new line, we added these other lines. And anyone who's looking at the pull request can see all of the different commits and all the different changes that have been applied to all the files in the repository. So right now we just have one file shown here, readme, which has 9 additions and 0 deletions. So they're all greens. If there was deletions, they'd be shown in red. Line by line, it will show you all the changes, so you can really quickly see what's been changed. So we're going to create a pull request, and it's by default it's just going to be get the name of the of that commit that we just entered. So everything looks good. We don't really need to. We could just leave a comment and say and I think, hang on, I think it supports emoji. I don't really use them that much. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, so the other cool thing is it supports autocomplete, so we can do thumbs up, or if you're feeling saucy, you can do that. All right, so we've made a pull request. Now, at this point now, people would, you can say, hey, blah, what do you think? But I'm not going to tag anyone here, so this is optional. And people can comment, they can reference certain files, etc. But this is just an example. So typically we try to avoid merging our own pull requests because that kind of defeats the purpose. You want someone else to review and merge your request, but in this case, it's just your own repository. There's no one else to review it or merge it. So you can go ahead and merge your own pull request. And it's going to just automatically say this merge this thing. You can rename it, but this just creates a comment. So we can confirm the merge, and we can go ahead and delete that branch because we don't need it anymore. We can always create a new branch when we're ready to make new edits. So now, if we go up to the Hello World repository, we can see that there's only one branch. It's master. We're in master, and all of our changes have been updated. Yeah. So, good job. You made a pull request and merged it, and you made a GitHub repository.